I notice, David, that the new opposition leader has already marked a shift, certainly an emphasis, if not the substance at this point, but on the federal ICAC, saying, OK, that fight's been had, and essentially suggesting that he'll back it. He's a strong backer, he said, of a federal ICAC, David.
Yeah, look, I think that's a very smart thing for him to do. I think you're hard-pressed to find a member of the public that doesn't support some type of federal ICAC, and I think I think Scott Morrison's opposition to that was, I think, in some ways quite clearly just coming from a place of reticence to bring upon an incumbent government more controversy than it necessarily needs. I think ultimately the idea that corruption is something that is more common at state levels and at council levels is a kind of ludicrous proposition, and I think having a federal ICAC, as it were, with real teeth is something that almost every voter across the political divide would agree with, unless you're very much kind of in that very inner beltway circle.
Darren Barnett, when you look to the Prime Minister's front bench this afternoon, they're really not expecting any dramatic surprise. I guess focus on a few of the movements, like in Home Affairs, where Christina Keneally, of course, has lost the seat of Fowler, so that position's got to be filled. But the main ones, Darren, Treasurer, Finance, Foreign Affairs, Defence, we know where they'll all land.
We do, and I can't see Labor changing health, education, a few of those other very traditional Labor strong suits. Environment is a big issue for Labor, so they need to fill Terry Butler's spot. Home Affairs, certainly under Peter Dutton, was a very important portfolio with a high profile, so there've been talk of maybe Brendan O'Connor or Jason Clare, who've done parts of that job before, or they might put someone new into that position because they don't have that millstone around their neck of having been in that position in a Labor government. But it's disappointing for Terry Butler and Christina Keneally, having done all the hard work of opposition and majority government, not making it into the cabinet. But unfortunately, that's the nature of politics, and others will step up to fill those shoes, and we will find out at 4 o'clock today exactly who has been successful in that quest.
We will indeed. David Cross, when you look to the new coalition team, Susan Lee as deputy to Peter Dutton, do you like the fact that the new opposition is saying straight off the bat through Susan Lee yesterday particularly that they've got to listen to women voters in order to start to win them back?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely critical, and that's obviously I think having Susan in that position is very, very important, and I think that is something that was widely supported by the entirety of the party room. The fact of the matter is that they're going to have to put their money where their mouth is in relation to pre-selecting the right candidates in the right seats that are genuinely winnable. There obviously is a lot of talent, both men and women, in the current ranks, but I think the reason as to why women across the country turned away from the coalition is, one, lack of representation, but two, just some of the very interesting comments and policy decisions on the back of some of the controversies in the last parliament that arose, I just think weren't responded to in the right way by the government. And I think the way in which they engage with those really sensitive issues around workplace culture, around issues such as entrenched sexism, there's going to have to be a radical rethink of how the coalition approach those kind of issues, and I think that's going to have to, as I said, be obviously demonstrated through diversity on the front bench or in the shadow cabinet, but more importantly through the rhetoric of how they respond to the issues that arise and that will continue to arise, and who they pre-select for those seats that they absolutely need to win back.
And Darren, finally to you, do you like what you hear when the new Prime Minister talks about changing the politics, being more inclusive and setting the tone of more consensus?
I do. I think the very large crossbench this time around means that the Prime Minister, and he's a wily operator, he will know that if he keeps the Greens and the crossbench happy, that they are occupying, certainly the crossbenchers are occupying Liberal seats, and having them mount a strong contest in 3 years' time is to Labor's benefit. And he doesn't want the Teals to come after Labor seats, so why poke them in the eye? I think it makes perfect sense for Anthony Albanese to run a very inclusive approach to the parliament, and that includes probably more time on the floor for the crossbench, maybe some time apart from early on Mondays. Who knows what they're going to do with question time? But all of those things will be to Anthony Albanese's benefit in 3 years' time. And as I say, he's a good operator. He's been Leader of the House. He knows what he's up to. And I think that will be reflected in the way that the Parliament is run.
Darren Barnett from McKell Institute, David Cross, CEO at Blueprint. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.